Ben?
Did something bite him?
Ben?
There's something wrong with Ben.
Right, we got Primate here. A movie that even Caesar from Planet of the Apes is looking at this going, see, this is why apes are getting a bad rap. Because can't have nothing nice. But anyway, so we got this movie Primate, which is, I don't know if it's the first movie of the year, but it's the first movie of the year that I've seen. So did it kickstart a so far, okay? Is it going to dictate how this year goes? Kind of like last year where the first movie I saw was Electric State, and that pretty much summed up the year. I was like, yeah, there's probably more crap in this year. So did it break it? Well, let's see. So from the trailer of this, I was really hesitant on this one because it looked a lot like Cujo, and the question I was asking the whole time was, why the fuck does this family have a pet chimpanzee? I don't think I want to see this because I know exactly how this is going to go. It's a family full of idiots, and I go, well, you shouldn't have had the ape in the first damn place. And then people were saying it's actually good. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll go see it. So I went into it with no expectations and came out of it thinking, you know what? That wasn't bad. It wasn't the best either, but it wasn't bad. So the plot of this one, it revolves around these friends that go to one of their friends' father's place, who's like this big, huge author in Hawaii, and they find out that, okay, the family there, they have this pet chimpanzee because their mother, who has now passed away, was a doctor or scientist who was working with this chimp to coordinate better with humans. And so it was kind of like their last memento to their mother. So they brought the chimp in. They've been with it ever since. And then due to the chimp getting infected with rabies, it then turns bad. And then it becomes a slasher movie. And that's pretty much what this is. Is that one thing, if I would say, the positives and negatives. The positives real quick. The effects work, I thought, was very impressive. Both the CGI on the chimp, whose name is Ben, and there's quite a bit of practical gore. I mean, the movie is pretty gory. And I was like, damn, that is actually pretty impressive. And with the CG, it almost looked like it was practical. It almost looked like a person in a suit at times. It reminded me very much of like when they used it was Gorgie from Jordan Peele's Nope, where it was a stunt person, but the CG looked really real. That I was like, all right, so they used the same method. It's not like, movies where they just have a tennis ball on a stick. It was like, all right, they're actually like physically interacting with it, and it's like, all right, so it feels real. So I really liked that. So the effects work is pretty impressive in this. And the score was, I'm a big sucker for, if you don't know me, I'm a big sucker for synthesize type stuff. And the score sounds very much like John Carpenter, and then it switches around and it kind of sounds like Tangerine Dream. And so I was really digging the score. And I actually, after I saw it, like as I'm recording this, I saw the film last night. I listened to the end credits song a couple of times because I'm like, I'm actually kind of digging this. It feels like Carpenter's been releasing non-movie albums. That was like Lost Themes albums, which are awesome if you haven't listened to them. And it kind of sounds like an extract from that. And I was like, this is really cool. I really dig this. But now to the negative. I've been watching horror for a long time. Now, I've seen Cujo. This was very much playing off of Cujo. And even from the trailer, I was saying to myself, I hope they don't fight that and they don't make it like a clone of that movie and of that story. Unfortunately, they do kind of do that a lot throughout this movie. Now, if you've not read Cujo or seen the movie, then it probably won't bother you as much because there are certain much like Cujo, where they're stuck in one location for the majority of the runtime. With this, it's kind of the same thing, where there's a huge chunk in the middle of the movie where they do stay in one spot. And it's like, okay, I understand it makes sense, but I cannot stop comparing to that. So, like I said, if you've never seen Cujo, it probably won't bother you as much, but I've seen it, and just from the trailer alone, it looked like it. So it's to me, it's a slight ding, but it probably won't for a lot of people, which is fine. But it is also, the character development is really kind of not existent a little bit. It's there, but not as much as I thought it should have. And also the thing is that this movie is exactly 90 minutes long. The first 10-15 minutes, it feels very much like they are racing to try to get to, the big reason of like, okay, why audiences are here, why they want to watch this movie. So the first 10-15 minutes, we start setting up characters, and it's like, okay, we know they're friends, we know this, okay, that's fine. But you're supposed to believe that, Ben is part of this family, when I'm like, okay, we get a brief scene of that, which is like maybe like less than a minute. Very brief scene and a little bit of backstory to it, but other than that, I'm not feeling it. So character development is kind of poor, and I was also really afraid that this movie would become kind of like some of those forgettable movies, like slasher films from the 80s, where it's just the same beats, where you have the stupid characters, they make the stupid decisions. And in here, there are spots where they make stupid decisions, but a lot of the time I'm like, okay, you're actually being smarter than I thought you would. But there are certain parts, like they have to bring in, the dudes that they meet that are like the high-flying frat dudes that just want to party and have sex. And it's like, we don't need that. I guess you can use that if you get more kills, because there are a couple of kills in here, and each one is like, ouch, that hurt. That's gotta hurt. But it then started becoming one of those kind of 80s slasher films, which I'm sure they were looking at, especially, with the score. But it just kind of started becoming something like that. Now, to, final thoughts. My final thoughts are, do I think this is as good as people are saying it is? No. Do I think it's as bad as was it better than what I expected it to be? Yes. Did I enjoy it to the point where maybe I would own it or watch it again? No. This kind of feels like one of those fun, gory, kind of slasher-esque movies that are exactly 90 minutes long that you can watch with, your friends or, and have a good time watching it. And so I would say like a fun, I think if you pay matinee price to go check this out, I don't think it'd kill you, especially you go see it with some of your friends. I think you would have a good time because it's exactly 90 minutes. It's ridiculous at times. It's fun. It's gory, like surprisingly very gory. Like I said, each kill is like, ouch, that hurt. That's gotta hurt. And there's even a little bit of humor in there. Like I thought there's a certain part where I won't say this, I won't like spoil what happens, but there's a scene where, TV cuts on and it's playing Dora the Explorer, and Ben, the chimp, just smashes the TV, and that got a good laugh out of me. And there's even there's a kill in here where I was like, damn, that's brutal. And Ben starts like playing around with it. And I was like, okay, that's actually kind of funny. So I think for me, it would round up to something like an average where, I think you would have a good time watching it, but it's definitely not a movie where you'd be like, you would recommend it to people, but as like a one-off kind of thing, kind of like a, what, if you really got nothing else to watch this, because it's a fun, ridiculous at times, gory movie that's exactly 90 minutes long. And if you get some entertainment out of that 90 minutes, then there you go. But this movie also just points out a point to me that I don't care if you have a family member who was working with a chimpanzee. I don't care if it was like, it was in your family, it was passed down or anything like that. Never own a fucking chimpanzee as a pet. That is an incredibly stupid idea. I don't care. Okay? I don't care if it was part of the family. I don't care. It's stupid. So, there you go.
Go!
911, what's your emergency?
Here, just send the police.